His morning crew with Rob, Allison, and Jim.
Let's say we take a trip back in time to the land of TLC when there was a show that was called Trading Spaces. And this guy was one of the stars of it.
I'm Brandon, carpenter. If Mother Nature can't build it, I can.
Oh, yeah. Well, Brandon Russell is joining us now live from his shop in Charlotte. Brandon, what was it like to be chosen out of hundreds of hunky carpenters to be on that show?
Oh, wow. You're putting a lot of pressure on me now. It's great to be here. So happy that you're having me on the air. During the process when I was auditioning, probably the most amazing thing was all we heard was it was going to be the greatest show ever, the new home show. It's going to take over the world. So we had no clue what it was. And I auditioned, and then about a week later had to fly to New York for a further audition with the directors and still knew nothing about the show. Just was told it was going to be this amazing show. And then after that, I was told, "Oh, you're definitely going to get the show." And I said, "Please don't say that because just let it go." I've heard that many times before, and I didn't want to get too excited. And to be honest, for 8 months, I didn't get a phone call, I didn't get an email, heard nothing. And I had gone on with my life doing all kinds of other things and still auditioning for stuff. And then one day, out of the blue, I get a phone call from my agent, and he told me I wasn't available for another audition. I said, "No, I told you I could be there." And he said, "No, you're not available." And I said, "No, I'm available." And he said, "No, you're not, because you just became the new carpenter on Trading Spaces."
Hey, look at that.
It was amazing.
Well, it was so cool to know that your dad was a very instrumental part in your career in carpentry. Can you kind of tell us how he influenced you?
Yeah, I think from a very young age, my dad, that's what he kind of did. Growing up, he did a lot of work in homes and construction. So he knew a lot about it, and he was a very hands-on guy, from making knives from scratch and all kinds of stuff. He was a leathersmith. And growing up, I always saw him in his workshop, working with different tools and stuff like that. And, of course, I would grab him here and there and try to, mess with him and, emulate him. But probably the most biggest memory for me when people ask how I know how to do a lot of the things I do, it's not really because my dad specifically taught me. I would ask him, "Hey, how do you do this?" And he would always say, "I don't know. How do you do it?" And he would make me learn. And a lot of the things I learned is from the mistakes I made. So it was pretty amazing that a lot of stuff of what I know, it's not because I know everything to do for it. It's because I've learned how to not do it 10 other ways. So
You do learn from mistakes. I mean, that speaks volumes right there.
Oh, I can't tell you how much more I believe it's the best way to learn personally, because from your mistakes is where I now know when I'm teaching and telling people what to do, I already know what they're going to do and what mistakes they could make. So it makes it easier as a, instructor or someone giving advice, because I already know the things that are probably going to arise and happen. I can kind of steer you away from that.
We're spending some time with Brandon Russell. You'll remember him from Trading Spaces. And if you haven't heard yet, the show's making a comeback.
The mother of all design shows is back.
Are you ready to trade spaces?
Cheers to being back.
Cheers. We're back. Isn't it awesome?
Okay. What's your take on this, Brandon? This thing making a comeback on TLC?
Well, I always called that it was going to happen sooner or later.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing that it's coming back, to be honest. I'm not biased. I wasn't even on the show till the 7th and 8th season. So it's not like it's something I was the starter of. So I'm not being biased when I say I do believe it is what was the groundbreaking force in all the home renovation shows we watch today.
Oh,
I mean, it kind of laid the pavement for all of it. So I think it's amazing that it's coming back. To be honest, I think what I think is really going to be wild is the kids that were curled up in the mom and dad's lap that said they didn't want to watch it but then couldn't wait for the reveal. Now they own their own homes, so it's their turn.
So what are you doing now, Brandon? Now you got some time in Charlotte and you're doing some spaces yourself.
I'm currently about to launch I've kind of started it years ago because of Trading Spaces. I wanted to always give back, because being blessed with such an amazing platform to reach people, I thought there's something I need to give back. And I started calls, and it's a nonprofit called Fix It Forward. And it's basically the idea of, yeah, everybody would love to have a whole house redone, but we can't all just afford that. So what Fix It Forward does is just go in and meets the greatest need for someone. And that need is completely different for each home and different families. So once you meet that need and they ask, how could I ever pay it forward? I tell them, you don't have to pay anything, but you can help me fix it forward. And they help me fix a need in one of their neighbors. And it kind of builds that grassroots community. Our idea is resurrecting the front porch community from the back deck society we've become.
I love that. It's people helping people at that point.
Well, it's basically going back to how we were founded. As you know, we raised the barn, we raised the church, we raised the city, we raised the town. But we did it with our own hands and by helping each other. So I'm just trying to go back to that grassroots idea and, borrow an egg, borrow a cup of flour, a scoop of sugar. Don't be afraid to ask.
I love that.
Cool.
It sounds like your faith is really the foundation of that.
Oh, 100%. Basically, that's what's so driving. It's hard in the industry when you have ideas like this. You're always careful because you're like, please don't let someone steal it that's not doing it because it's a part of their heart. And this is something that's such a desire for me to do that, for me just to be able to give back. And I tell everybody, you are transforming their home and you are helping them with a great need. But the true transformation is honestly within the heart. And it's the heart of the neighbor that's receiving something that wasn't given for something else. They're doing it unselfishly. So it's just a great transformation.
It's Brandon Russell, formerly from Trading Spaces, now with Fix It Forward. I love it.